Welcome back. I wanted to do a little introduction to the process itself. For those of you that haven't painted with me before, um, we're going to be doing something called intuitive painting, where you essentially go inside and draw out colors. You can hear him in the background, he's looking out the window, talking to himself. You essentially go inside and explore what colors really inspire you and make you feel good at the moment. They don't have to be colors that are related to each other. They don't have to be colors, you don't have to understand why you feel the way you feel about those colors at the moment. I can help you sort through that. I do actually have the ability to interpret the different psychological and emotional meanings for colors. So if you do want to contact me and if you have questions, by all means. But what we're going to be doing is we'll do a little meditation and we'll go within and we'll see what it is right now that is calling to speak to us. And I haven't yet decided if I'm going to do it for every surface, like for the canvas and the different types of papers and stuff. I might, depending, because each one is going to be its own little painting. So it's very possible that we might do a little exploration for each one, if that's something that I think needs to be. But the idea with intuitive painting is there's no plan. You don't go into it with an idea of what you're going to paint. You go into it with some colors that speak to you at the time. And as the layers progress, as the design progresses, you draw out more of the symbols. You draw out more of what it is that's calling to you. It could be an idea. If you at any time you start to feel like you're getting too much into your head or too much anxious about it, because a lot of people who've never painted before tend to feel quite anxious when they paint, even though nothing bad will happen. The worst case scenario is you create something that you really hate, you just paint over it, it's fine. But a lot of people, there's a lot of fear surrounding creativity in general, because, there's always a point, usually in our childhood, where someone says, our cat that we drew doesn't look like a cat, and we get discouraged. But this process, it takes you back to that imaginative space. It takes you back to that ability to really feel into creating instead of planning, instead of thinking, I'm gonna draw a flower. If you're inspired by a flower, that's awesome. But if you don't know how to paint, that can be frustrating. So what you can do is decide what it is about that flower that calls to you. Is it the color? Is it the shape? Is it the edge of the petals? And work that into the painting. It doesn't have to be the flower itself. It can be just the design. It could be the way the sun hits the edge of a petal. It really feel into the idea of what it is that inspires you about that thing. That way you don't have to pressure yourself into thinking you have to paint a specific thing, which can be more difficult and a lot less relaxing if you don't have the accumulated skills to be able to paint exactly that thing that you want to paint. So what we're doing is, without planning, without actually having an idea of what the finished painting is going to look like, we're going to go in with colors to begin with, and then shapes, and then symbols, and more colors, different layers. Working on the canvas this way works really well because, again, it doesn't fall apart like paper will. So you will be actually having different techniques for each surface. So depending on which one excites you, you could watch them individually or you could watch them in order. It really is up to you. But we're going to do it completely intuitively, and each one's not going to have a plan. Each one's not going to have a specific, this is a thing I'm going to paint on this surface. and we will just see what comes out, what happens on the canvas in regards to different textures, the way the mediums work together, things like that. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. And I hope you find it as relaxing and healing and enjoyable as I do. Um, oh, this lovely lady behind me is one of my newest paintings. Again, flowers don't have to look necessarily like flowers. Like this one was a daffodil. It sort of is a daffodil. I don't know. Just buds of things. Some of the branches and things that you'll notice that I collect have worked their way in there. And they're not exact representations. There's no fine detail to it, but you still get the feeling, you know? This one is a combination of intuitive painting and intentional creativity muse painting. So she actually right now is the representative muse for my 2020 creative practices, I guess. And the title of this one is Bloom Where You're Planted. So it's really, yeah, she was something that just sort of came through and happened. So that's a little bit of an intro to what we'll be doing. That's what intuitive creativity is literally painting intuitively. Doesn't have to be a plan, doesn't have to be a specific thing. It's just ideas, thoughts, colors. You let yourself be in that state of flow. And I look forward to painting with you. And thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you soon.